Have you ever wondered what you would do if one day, while home alone, your heart suddenly spoke up? No one by your side, no hand to hold yours, no familiar voice saying, "Hang in there." Just you, your breath growing heavier, and a quiet sense of unease pressing through your chest. Have you ever thought about that moment? Not to scare yourself, but to be ready. Because the truth is, more and more older adults are living alone, and heart attacks don't send a warning. They don't wait for the right hour or a convenient moment. They arrive in silence, and within those first few minutes, every choice becomes a matter of life or death. The good news is, you don't need to be a doctor or have advanced medical equipment in your home. What you need is to know your body well and remember a few simple but critical steps. Steps that can help you stay calm, protect your heart, and hold on long enough for help to arrive. In this video, we'll walk through each of those essential actions together. The little details you might have never considered, but when used at the right moment, can become the bridge that keeps you connected to life if you're living alone, or if you have parents or loved ones over the age of 60. These are things you simply cannot ignore. Stay with me until the end, because somewhere in these shared words, you might find a plan strong enough to protect you when the moment feels most fragile. Overview of the 7 survival steps. There may come a time when you find yourself completely alone. No children by your side. No one knocking at the door just in time. No hand to hold yours and whisper, "It's going to be okay." But even in those solitary moments, you are not truly alone if your heart holds a plan and your mind remembers what must be done. The 7 steps below are simple yet incredibly powerful. They don't require you to be a doctor. They don't rely on advanced machines. They only ask one thing of you, that you stay calm and believe in the strength found in the smallest of things. We will walk with you through each step, each small action that could mean the difference between collapsing in panic and reclaiming your breath with quiet control. From recognizing the first subtle signals your heart may send, to learning how to slow your breathing and soothe your distressed body. From silently chewing a small aspirin, to unlocking your front door so rescuers won't waste a single second. Each of these steps is a gift you offer yourself, a gentle yet powerful affirmation. I'm still here, and I'm still trying. You don't need to memorize complex protocols or study thick medical textbooks. All you need to remember is this: in a critical moment, your body is speaking to you, and you can answer it with action, with preparation, and with a spirit that refuses to give up. Those first seconds when a heart attack begins are absolutely critical. Together, we will learn how to make the most of each one, wisely and with compassion. And perhaps the most beautiful part is that every single one of these 7 steps begins with something very ordinary. A pill in a kitchen drawer, a phone within reach, a breath gently controlled. There is nothing grand, yet nothing trivial. Every action you take is a lifeline pulling you back toward life itself. Toward fresh morning air, warm hugs from your grandchildren, peaceful cups of tea, and a smile that still belongs to you. Walk with me through this journey so that if that unexpected moment ever comes, you won't be afraid, you won't panic. You'll simply nod quietly to yourself and say, "I'm ready." 1. Recognizing the early signs of a heart attack. Your heart never speaks out all of a sudden. It always tries to send a warning first, through the softest, faintest signals that only reveal themselves when we truly take the time to listen. Sadly, many of us miss those whispers, simply because they don't look like what we see in movies. There is no dramatic chest-clutching collapse, no sharp pain that knocks you to the floor. Instead, it may be a dull pressure in the center of your chest, a heavy sensation as if something is quietly pressing down, or simply an odd fatigue upon waking that you can't quite explain. You might find yourself short of breath, even though you haven't climbed a single stair. It feels as if you've just walked a long distance, though you've been sitting still. Sometimes, it's a pain that radiates to your left shoulder, your neck, your jaw, or your back. Some people feel nauseous, dizzy, or suddenly break out in a cold sweat for no clear reason. Especially for older women, chest pain might not even be noticeable. It could feel more like abdominal discomfort, back pain, or a deep, unexplained exhaustion. These are all important messages your body is sending, not to frighten you, but to call you to action. I still remember the story of Mrs. Evelyn, 74 years old, a gentle woman who lived in a small house at the end of the street. One morning, while she was sitting quietly embroidering a handkerchief, she felt a subtle tightening beneath her collarbone, as if someone was pressing against her chest with an invisible hand. It wasn't sharp or urgent, just a strange and unfamiliar feeling. When she stood up to pour a glass of water, her legs suddenly weakened and her hands began to sweat. Then she recalled what the nurse had once said during a health screening: if something feels off, don't sit there guessing. Trust your body. And because of that, she called 911 the moment she sensed something was wrong. That decision saved her heart. You see, the body never betrays you. It whispers, it signals, it reaches out for help. But when we brush it off, saying maybe it's just gas or probably just tired, we unknowingly turn away from our greatest chance to save ourselves. So next time you feel something out of the ordinary, even if it's just a small shift in your breath or a strange rhythm in your heartbeat, stop. Pay close attention. Don't try to act strong. Don't comfort yourself with silence. Instead, take action. Because listening closely is the first step to protecting yourself. And perhaps the most important step to hold on to the fragile beat still pulsing in your chest. 2. Call emergency services immediately. If there is one thing you must remember in the moment you suspect a heart attack, it is this: call emergency services immediately. Not after a few minutes to see if it gets better. Not after calling your children or the neighbors. And absolutely not after trying to drive yourself to the hospital. In those critical minutes, your phone is not just a communication device, it is your bridge to life. Many older adults hesitate, thinking they might be overreacting or feeling embarrassed about troubling others. But the truth is, your heart won't wait for you to be certain. When blood flow is restricted, the heart muscle begins to die with every passing minute. And with each minute that goes by without the right action, your chances of full recovery slip further away. Let me tell you the story of Mr. Walter, an 80-year-old man living alone in the suburbs. One evening, while reading the newspaper, he felt a dull pain in his chest that quickly spread to his neck and left shoulder. He thought about lying down for a bit, assuming it might just be a muscle strain. But then he remembered something he had once seen on a health program, where an elderly doctor said, "When the heart speaks, don't wait until it screams to listen." So he picked up the phone, dialed 911, and managed to say just a few words before his voice began to fade. Because he called early, the medical team arrived in time and kept his heart beating on the way to the hospital. When you call for help, the people on the other end of the line are trained to act fast. They do not judge you. They are not annoyed if it turns out not to be a heart attack. In fact, they would rather respond to a false alarm than miss someone who truly needs to be saved. And if the pain suddenly becomes severe, you might no longer be able to speak, to drive, or to explain anything to anyone. That is why you must call while you are still alert and strong enough to do so. Make sure your phone is always within reach, especially if you live alone. If you cannot speak, use the emergency call button if you're not familiar with how to set it up. Ask a loved one to show you. One gentle press, 1 second of action, could be the bridge that brings you back from the edge of danger to the simple joys of everyday life, to warm breakfast, your grandchildren's laughter, and the soft sunlight falling across the roof of your familiar porch. Do not wait. Make the call. You deserve to live and to be helped exactly when you need it most. 3. Chew aspirin, slowly and calmly, after calling emergency services. The next action you can take to save your own life is surprisingly simple. Chew an aspirin. It may sound small, but in a moment when your heart is struggling to stay alive, that tiny pill holds more power than you might imagine. It is not a miracle, but it is a chance. And sometimes, a chance only comes once. Aspirin helps thin the blood, preventing or slowing down the formation of blood clots in the coronary arteries, which is the direct cause of a heart attack. And for the medicine to work as quickly as possible, you should chew it rather than swallow it, when chewed thoroughly. Aspirin is absorbed faster through the lining of the mouth, reducing the time it takes to begin working. That small difference could buy you precious minutes while you wait for help to arrive. Let me share the story of Mr. Harold, 75 years old, who lived in a small house near the river. One morning, while watering his plants, he felt a crushing weight on his chest, like a slab of stone pressing down, followed by a wave of heat spreading through his neck and jaw. Cold sweat poured down and his head felt light. Instead of panicking, he remembered what a close friend who had survived a heart attack once told him: always keep aspirin near your bedside and in the kitchen. He walked slowly indoors, took out the pill, chewed it bit by bit, then sat down quietly and focused on breathing gently. When the ambulance arrived, the doctor told him that chewing that aspirin had slowed the damage, helping prevent his heart muscle from suffering more serious harm. If you are not allergic to aspirin and are not currently on blood thinners, keep a few 325 milligram aspirin tablets in the most accessible places around your home. It could be in a kitchen drawer, by your bedside, or in the pocket of your favorite coat. Check the expiration dates regularly, and let your children or grandchildren know where you keep them in case of emergency. You should also avoid enteric-coated or extended-release forms of aspirin, but if that is all you have, chew it anyway to reduce the absorption time. A small pill, a seemingly simple gesture, can be an act of deep love toward yourself. It requires no strength, no special technique, only your calmness, your trust in your body, and the courage to act at the right moment. In the storm called a heart attack, aspirin can be the anchor that holds you close to life, and that life still holds so many beautiful things waiting for you to enjoy. 4. Sit or lie down to protect your heart when the pain begins. Many people's first instinct is to get up, move around, look for water, or try to finish what they were doing. But in that very moment, what you need most is not action, but stillness. You need to stop. Choose a safe place to sit or lie down so your body can rest, so your heart doesn't have to struggle for one more beat. When you are experiencing a heart attack, your heart is already working at its limit to keep blood flowing if you continue to move. Even just to walk to the door or reach for something, you are forcing your heart to work even harder in a state of oxygen shortage. On the other hand, when you sit down with your back firmly supported, your feet gently placed on the floor, you are relieving pressure on the heart. If you feel lightheaded or your vision starts to blur, lie on your side with your head slightly elevated above your body to reduce the risk of fainting and to help keep your airway open. Mrs. Margaret, 78 years old, is a memorable example. That day, while washing dishes after dinner, she began to feel tightness in her chest and difficulty breathing. She was about to quickly wipe down the kitchen and call her son, but then a voice from a health program she had once watched echoed in her mind. When in doubt that it's your heart, sit down immediately. Do nothing else. She dropped the towel, walked slowly into the living room, sat in her favorite armchair, leaned back, and began breathing slowly. When the ambulance arrived, the medics told her that by staying still, her heart rhythm had remained stable and had not escalated into something more dangerous. Doing nothing in that moment is actually a conscious and powerful action. It allows your heart to stabilize, your breath to calm, and your other organs to adjust to the emergency. Many people think sitting still is weakness, that it is passive. But to a heart in distress, stillness is a way to buy time until help arrives. So if you feel the pain beginning, don't try to do anything else. Don't worry about tidying up, unlocking the door, or finding medication. If you can open the door, do so only after you've secured your sitting position. If you can't, stay exactly where you are. Breathe slowly, and let your body focus on one thing only: surviving. In those moments, calmness is not just a sedative, it is a quiet light keeping you grounded through the storm. You've come a long way in life, and now, the only thing you need to do is sit down, lean back gently into your chair, and wait for the people who are on their way to help you move forward. 5. Unlock the door, so emergency responders can reach you while waiting for the emergency team to arrive. If you are still conscious and can move safely, unlocking the door is one of the simplest yet most important things you can do. You might not think of it while your chest is tightening and every breath feels heavier, but the truth is, a locked door alone could cost the medical team several precious minutes, and in the case of a heart attack, those few minutes might be the very line between life and loss. I remember Mr. Raymond, a 79-year-old man who lived alone on the third floor of a quiet apartment building. One morning, he felt a sharp pain in his chest and a cold sweat spread across his forehead. After calling emergency services and chewing an aspirin as the doctor had once advised, he gathered his strength, unlocked his front door, and then returned to the sofa to sit quietly and wait. When the medical team arrived, they did not have to break down the door or waste time contacting neighbors. They entered immediately, administered medication, and began helping him right away. Later, during his recovery, he said, "I never realized that just unlocking the door could be a way of saving myself." Mahonam, if you live in an apartment complex with a security gate or a main door that locks automatically, consider your backup options ahead of time. You might need to install a smart lock that can be opened remotely or use a medical lockbox mounted near your door, with a key inside and a code you can share with loved ones. If you have a trusted neighbor, leave them a spare key. These small preparations can sometimes be the key that keeps your heart beating. Of course, if you are feeling too weak, dizzy, or unsteady to move safely, do not attempt to leave your seat or bed. In that case, your top priority is to stay safe and breathe steadily. Emergency responders are trained to handle locked doors when necessary, but if you are able to help them beforehand, you will save valuable time and avoid unnecessary damage. Unlocking the door is not just a mechanical task, it is also a message that you are prepared, that you are open to receiving help, that you still hold on to hope. In a quiet home, when everything feels like it has slowed down, an open door becomes a sign that life is still continuing, that there is still a path forward. And sometimes, it is your own hand that opens that door, not just to let others in, but to step into life again yourself. 6. Unlock the door, so emergency responders can reach you, while waiting for the emergency team to arrive, if you are still conscious and can move safely. Unlocking the door is one of the simplest yet most important things you can do. You might not think of it while your chest is tightening and every breath feels heavier. But the truth is, a locked door alone could cost the medical team several precious minutes, and in the case of a heart attack, those few minutes might be the very line between life and loss. I remember Mr. Raymond, a 79-year-old man who lived alone on the third floor of a quiet apartment building. One morning, he felt a sharp pain in his chest and a cold sweat spread across his forehead. After calling emergency services and chewing an aspirin as the doctor had once advised, he gathered his strength, unlocked his front door, and then returned to the sofa to sit quietly and wait. When the medical team arrived, they did not have to break down the door or waste time contacting neighbors. They entered immediately, administered medication, and began helping him right away. Later, during his recovery, he said, "I never realized that just unlocking the door could be a way of saving myself." If you live in an apartment complex with a security gate or a main door that locks automatically, consider your backup options ahead of time. You might need to install a smart lock that can be opened remotely or use a medical lockbox mounted near your door, with a key inside and a code you can share with loved ones. If you have a trusted neighbor, leave them a spare key. These small preparations can sometimes be the key that keeps your heart beating. Of course, if you are feeling too weak, dizzy, or unsteady to move safely, do not attempt to leave your seat or bed. In that case, your top priority is to stay safe and breathe steadily. Emergency responders are trained to handle locked doors when necessary, but if you are able to help them beforehand, you will save valuable time and avoid unnecessary damage. Unlocking the door is not just a mechanical task, it is also a message that you are prepared, that you are open to receiving help, that you still hold on to hope. In a quiet home, when everything feels like it has slowed down, an open door becomes a sign that life is still continuing, that there is still a path forward, and sometimes it is your own hand that opens that door, not just to let others in, but to step into life again yourself. 7. Slow your breathing to help stabilize the heart when a heart attack begins. The most common reaction is not fainting, but panic. The heart races, breathing becomes rapid, and the mind spirals into a fear too overwhelming for words. Yet even in that storm of chaos, there is still a powerful tool within your own body, your breath. If you know how to control it, you can calm your nervous system, ease the strain on your heart, and prevent the situation from worsening. Slow breathing is not a complicated exercise, nor does it require deep training. It only asks that you focus on a gentle, steady rhythm. Try this. Breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for a moment, then breathe out softly through your mouth for 6 seconds. Each slow breath is a message to your heart that you are here, that you are in control. And with every breath, you reduce the chance of stress-triggered arrhythmias. Mr. Frank, 84 years old and a former physical education teacher, once shared his experience of a sudden chest pain during a hot afternoon. While waiting for the ambulance, he felt himself slipping deeper into fear. But then, as if by instinct, he began to count his breaths. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold briefly, exhale slowly. He repeated this pattern for 10 full minutes. When the medical team arrived, they said that although his heart rhythm was irregular, it remained stable and did not shift into a dangerous state. Later, he said, "I had only one thought in mind: hold my breath, hold myself together." Practicing slow breathing should not begin in an emergency. Make it a part of your daily routine, whether during quiet mornings, while waiting for a meal to cook, or in peaceful afternoons. The more familiar your body becomes with this rhythm, the easier it will be to return to calm when an unexpected storm arrives. Breath cannot unblock a clogged artery, but it can buy you time. It helps oxygen circulate more evenly and, most importantly, keeps you grounded when giving up might feel easier. In the moment your heart begins to falter, true steadiness is not found in brute strength, but in breath. Inhale with determination, exhale with trust. You have already weathered many seasons of rain and sun, and now, even in the face of pain, you can choose to stay with life through one of the simplest acts of all: a deep and steady breath. Even if a heart attack strikes suddenly and you are alone, that does not mean you are powerless. In fact, it is often in those moments that seem the most solitary when you can become your strongest, as long as you are prepared. The 7 simple steps we walk through today are not distant or complicated ideas. They are small actions, but each one carries the power of being proactive and the love you show for yourself. From recognizing the quiet signals your body sends, calling for help at the right moment, chewing an aspirin, to sitting down, unlocking the door, turning on speakerphone, or simply adjusting your breathing. Each one is a way for you to send life a very clear message: I am ready to live, and I still want to keep going. These actions, placed in the right moment, can make the difference between recovery and loss, between a sad ending and a chance to move forward. If this video has touched a part of your heart, don't hesitate to hit subscribe so we can continue walking together in the stories and insights to come. Every week, I will bring you practical knowledge, simple to apply, and most importantly, tailored to the real life of older adults. And if something in today's message has made you reflect, has inspired you to be more prepared for yourself or your loved ones, leave a comment with the phrase, "Hold on to life." I always treasure each and every one of your thoughts. You may not be able to control when your heart speaks, but you can absolutely control how you respond. Stay calm, stay in love with life, and hold on to hope in every breath you take. In the next video, we'll explore how to protect your heart, starting from something as simple as a good night's sleep. I hope to see you again soon.